Hello, guys. I'm really happy to have Elisabeth Clay here. Elisabeth, thank you for the accept the invite to be here with me and talk about Jiu-Jitsu for Brazilian fans.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on here.
How are you feeling after the big win at the Who's Number One?
I feel good. That was a fight I wanted to get. I wanted to get back on Who's Number One too, because it's been over a year since I've been on. So I'm really happy with how everything went. I think my performance could have been a little bit better, but the win's the biggest thing, and I got that. So
And for those days and now, how do you analyze this victory over her at the Who's Number One? Well, what was the key points that make your victory over her?
honestly, I think it was being able to switch up my strategy, and instead of just playing on bottom, coming up and playing top. I think that was the big thing that ended up getting me the win.
In the same show at Who's Number One, we have the other good performance like Gordon Ryan, Mika Galvão. What the others fight you like to watch?
Oh man, all of Mika's fights were great. I didn't end up getting to watch some of the other fights just because it was like right before I was competing, so I was just back on the mat. The girls' fight was really good. Notch and Rafaela was a really good fight. So it was also exciting to kind of see Notch and Nogi because normally she only does the gi. So it was
Yes.
fun to be able to watch that and just have another really good girls' fight on the card. But Mika always does a great job. I think I only got to watch Notch. Mika's last fight, that armbar was crazy. And then Gordon's fight. Those are the only like three matches I ended up getting to watch.
For you, have a one person that can beat Gordon in this generation?
At the moment, I don't think so. There's the thing like anybody can lose. Like I think if he went out and it would just happen to be the other person's day and really not his, it can happen at any point. But there's not anybody that I like necessarily see that's gonna go out there and beat him. The level he is just against everybody else is so different. And anytime you think it's gonna be a good match, they end up fighting, and it's just not even close. At the moment, I don't think so.
Uh, he do a good strategy at no gi, and I think for
Mhm.
the others fight they just put the gi off and go there to fight. For you, what's the make Gordon different from another fighters?
Honestly, probably just how he approaches everything, but I think the level's just completely different. I honestly like I don't know why the level's so different, but you can see when they compete the level between him and everybody else is just so far apart. And it's not like these other guys aren't like amazing. They're phenomenal athletes. They're great at jiu-jitsu, but they just don't seem to be on the same level as Gordon.
And talk more about your performance in the gi. Do you have ups and downs in this season? How do you analyze you in the gi? How do you analyze your performance this year?
Uh, yeah, I've had some good ones. Like I won pans, and then I had some like worlds I didn't do as well. I think for me it's just kind of finding my game and like the my tempo, I guess I would say, in the gi. And when you do both, at least for me, like it's hard. I feel like as soon as I'm finding everything right in the gi, I'm switching over to no gi. Even during the gi season, I had Polaris, so I was still training no gi and then trying to compete in the gi as well. I think it's just finding like that perfect, just a perfect strategy in the game, and I just feel like I haven't hit it just right yet in the gi. Like I feel like I've done better in no gi finding that. But it's just going to be going out there and competing, and then playing, I think, the game and the strategy a little bit more. And I just feel like I don't do that just right in the gi yet.
Nice. I want to talk about Brasileiros with you because I remember it was a crazy day for me too
Yeah.
because I was there and I saw you won, and when I start to do a post, I see you come back and the Judas give the victor for the other girls.
Hmm.
What's happened in that day, Elisa? What do you remember
Man,
that what happened there?
so that day was crazy. I went out. Me and Tolita always have close matches, but we went out and I went. I don't remember if was I won by like advantage or 2 points or something, but either way, I win and I won. They raised my hand. I get off the mat, and it was like 10, 15 minutes. And I think she was like sitting behind where they have the computers, and her and her coach were upset talking to the referees, and she's like crying and all upset. But it happens. You have a loss or whatever. And I didn't even think anything of it. I'm there with some of my friends, talking to them, talking to people still inside. And I was literally about to leave when they come and grab me and they go, "No, you need to go back in the mat." And why do I need to go get back in the mat? I start getting like a lot of anxiety, and one of the Aries guys that's there, Island, he was reffing, and he comes over. No, 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 it's fine. You can go back in the mat. I'm like, are you sure? I don't think I should go back in the mat. I don't
Yes.
think it's okay. He goes, he talks, and there's so much back and forth, and like I can pick up a little bit of Portuguese, but I don't speak Portuguese fluently. So when they're talking that much, I'm not picking up everything that's being said. I don't know what's going on. Everyone's telling me to go back in the mat. So I go back in the mat. They wave away either my two or the advantage. It made it even. Okay. And then it goes the referee's decision. And I'm, oh my God, they wouldn't pull us back in the mat to do this. And in the rules, it says you can't do that. Once it's done, it's done.
Yes.
And then they go, and the ref's decision, they give it to her. And they gave basically no explanation, no nothing why they did that. And it's obviously like hard for me to kind of argue with it when I don't speak Portuguese very well. And so I'm talking to other people, some of my friends that are Brazilian, asking them to talk, and basically they gave no explanation. They're like, nope, that's what happened. What do you mean that's what happened? In the rules it says you can't do that. And then no, that's what happened. Then that was basically it. No one gave me explanation, no, like nothing.
Until the day they don't explain about this result with your professor, with you after past days or not?
They message Kashino messaged them, and basically they just go, "Oh, we messed up." What do you mean you messed up? Why did you point? Not only did okay, you mess up with uh, a decision or points or stuff like that. That's I feel like that's a little bit different to say you messed up, but to call someone back on the mat after 10, 15 minutes, then take away points, and then to take the ref's decision and then give to the other person. How did you just mess up? And that was basically they never talked to me. Nobody talked to me, but they talked with Kishino because he messaged them and basically said, "Oh, they made a mistake. We're sorry." That's it.
Uh, it's a crazy. It was crazy. It
Yeah.
was crazy for me too because I saw the fight. I saw the fight and I see you won. After
Hmm.
a little bit, you come and they give the win for the other girls. Crazy.
Yeah.
But do you have to plan to come to Brazil in the next year to fight Brasileiros again or not?
I want to come back, but I probably would want to go with someone because this is the second time I go, and like I have friends that are fighting, but it's not the same thing as like me going if like my husband was to come or if my professor was to come, then me going by myself. I still want to come back and go, but after what happened, it like kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety to go just because I don't necessarily have someone there to help me if something's going on. And also, like, as any athletes know, usually your professor or somebody there, it's better them advocating for you than you arguing, like, with the person. So I'm still kind of on the fence if I'm going to come back this coming year or not. I want to. I like going, I like competing there, but it just kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety to think about maybe the same thing happens. Like, oh, and I spend all this money, I fly all the way to Brazil. I'm in another country. I don't speak the language great, but like I love going in and being able to compete in the environment. But it still gives me like a little bit of anxiety now that maybe the same thing would happen.
Nice. And for you, what's the big difference to fight in the USA and to fight in Brazil? What do you feel to fight here this year?
The energy is just so different. The only thing that's even somewhat close, I would say, is maybe Worlds. But even then, the energy is just so much more when you're in Brazil, and then just being able to fight and compete where where it all came from is different. And I feel like the energy that you get in Brazil, you just can't get anywhere else. Like, it's unmatched.
Yes, it's a big difference from the USA.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And talk more about Nogi. ADCC have a new division now, 5 kilograms. It's a good division for you, right?
Yeah,
What
the go ahead.
for you? What's this change make for? What's this change for our women in jiu-jitsu? Has a new division at ADCC.
It's gonna be great, especially like for me. So they have the 55, the 66. I think it's either 66 or 65, and then over. So for me, it means that I'll actually get to compete with people that are like my size instead of before when it was 60 kilos. Me cutting down the 60 kilos is like impossible. So I had to fight heavier, but I don't walk that heavy. I only walk like maybe 67 or 68 kilos. And then I'm fighting girls that are way bigger than me. And then
Yeah.
at ADCC, that makes a huge difference because ADCC is like so much wrestling. And if you decide like me, like I like playing guard, even if it's a wrestling thing, I'm already at a disadvantage because of that. And then you add in there's a crazy size difference with everybody that I'm fighting. So for me, it'll be nice because I'll actually be like competing in my weight class instead of what's basically competing in the absolute. So I think, especially for like all the women, it's a step in the right direction. I think they still need more weight classes because only having 3 weight classes is kind of, it's a little crazy. But I think it's a step in the right direction for some of the girls, and actually not even just for girls that are similar to my size, but even girls like Maisa that are a lot smaller. For her to compete in the 60, which is what it used to be, is really big for her. So now that they have the 55 as well, is going to be really good for her because it'll be closer to her weight. And just there's a number of girls that are closer to her size, so I think that it'll be good. We'll actually get some of the smaller girls in there competing. And then like for me and girls that are closer to my size actually have like a weight class instead of just fighting the open weight. So I'm excited to see how it goes, but I'm also excited to see like what girls from 60 are going to go to 65 and what girls are going to cut down to 55.
Nice. And the women jiu-jitsu has growing a lot, especially in these years. We just have a BJJ Stars Grand Prix for women. And for you, how do you analyze the jiu-jitsu community for women jiu-jitsu today? Like payments, opportunities. How do you analyze this for women in jiu-jitsu?
I don't think the women necessarily still have that it's the exact same as with men's. There's a couple organizations that if you look like they never host women on there. But if you look how it is now, like just looking at the positives now versus like when I started training 11 years ago, doing this as like a career as a woman was like you get laughed at because you couldn't make money, you couldn't sell seminars, even teaching classes, like nobody would come because it didn't matter how good you were. If you were a woman teaching a class, nobody was gonna come. You so not only could you not do seminars, you couldn't make money competing. You couldn't even teach day-to-day classes. So it's come a really long way with how that goes. Like I really don't have a problem selling seminars. I don't really have a problem, getting fights and stuff like that. I think there can be the some discrepancy with payment, with pay in it, but I also think you have to look at like how many women are signed up. I like what AJP does. They have everything's just by number. So by how many people are in it, how much you get paid. And I think that's good because if there's 50 guys in the bracket and there's only 10 in
Yes.
mine, I don't think I should necessarily be getting paid the same because I don't have as many matches. I'm not having to go through as many times as the guys are. But if I have 50 in mine too, then I should be getting paid the same. So I like when they break it down for like competitions by the numbers. I think that's great because then it makes it more fair. Because if you look at some of the rooster weights, sometimes the men's rooster weight is super small, the bracket, they end up getting paid less. And I think that's, but it's by numbers. So it's how many matches you have, how many everything. I like that. I think that's good. But I definitely think it's even just in the last couple of years, it's come so much further with things being equal. Like you see it, there's girls doing seminars like all the time, high level athletes. And I think like 5, 6, 7 years ago, you didn't really see that.
And another thing that I see you make different from the other girls, because I saw you, I see you fight every time. Always your name always in the events, professional events, because you speak very well. You do an interview. You make a good social media, and the other girls the other girls, some girls don't like to talk, don't like to post. For
Mm-hmm.
you, this make a difference too when you go into negotiation to fight, sponsor.
Definitely, because the thing is, when you look at any of it, it's a business agreement. With sponsors, it's a business agreement. With I mean, with the fights, it's a business agreement. I don't think everybody for fights has to have like a big social media presence if they're exciting enough that just their name on the card draws them in. But I think for most people, like not everybody follows IBJJF or follows Flow. Some people just follow a specific athlete because they want to see. So if you're not posting anything, they don't even know when you're fighting. I
For
think the
sure.
social media presence for sponsors is the biggest thing. But what a lot of people look at, it's not just the followers. Engagement is everything for all of
Yes.
it. You have to
Yes.
look, hey, okay, yeah, I only have, maybe I didn't win this, this, and this, but like, but I can sell this for you. And that's what sponsors care about. They want to know how much you can sell and how much money you can make them is how much they're going to give you. And you have to be able to negotiate that and be like, look, okay, I have this many followers. Followers are great, but look, I have this much engagement on this post. I post this, I get this many clicks on this. If you look, I have comments under this. I have a relationship with my followers. I think is the biggest thing. It's not even just posting. You need to be able to have like a relationship with your followers, almost to say, because that helps a lot with sponsors, with fights, with anything like that. Because even if you don't necessarily go and tell them that, they see it. Like the people that are having you on for fights and stuff, they're looking at your engagement. They're looking at how much difference it is if they have you on the card versus they don't. And all of that affects like how much you get paid and also how often you're on cards and events and things like that.
Yeah. Because I think some athletes need to know how to sell their brands, how to sell their fights. Because some haven't call one fighters and they didn't they he didn't post, and
Mm-hmm.
before one day they haven't they just post, they should do a one post to fight. Oh, I'm going to fight tomorrow. Watch me. And man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And you do this work very well. Congrats. I like the way that you do a social media. I like to listen your interviews. It's nice.
Thank you. Thanks.
And my other questions for you is more personal opinion. Uh, what do you think about trash talking in jiu-jitsu? For you, it's the only way to promote your fight or not? For me, trash talk is not the only way. Have another ways. And for you, what do you think about trash talking?
Yeah, it's definitely not my thing. That's like we were actually talking about it the last event. I was like, man, if I started trying to talk trash, one, you would see it's so fake because that's just not like that's not my personality. And also, I just if you want to talk trash, like I don't care. You can do what you want, but like it's not my thing. I don't think you need to talk trash to sell a fight. If you need to talk trash to sell a fight, there's something else wrong. Like there should be something else that draws people to it. If that's like an added bonus for you, great, but it shouldn't be the only thing that's selling a fight. If that's the only thing that can sell a fight, like, you're not doing a good enough job in other aspects of your career.
Yeah, because some fighters just think, oh, I need to be like Gordon, I need to be like Nicholas, because it's different. If you create another image for you, you need to stay with this image for all. If you change every time, the fans don't like you too much because you always change. Be you all the time, and the fans going follow you too. And the other question is doping in jiu-jitsu. What's your opinion about this, Elisabeth?
So like, who's number one ADCC doesn't test? If I don't do it, I'm not for it. My biggest thing though is I have a problem if one, it's illegal. Like IBJJF, it's illegal, so you shouldn't be doing it there. People cycle on, people cycle off, whatever. I think that's wrong. If it's illegal, it should be, you shouldn't be doing it in there because you are cheating. But the biggest problem I have is when people try to push it like you have to do it. Oh, you have to do steroids to be good, and they start pushing that to the younger generation. And yeah, there are a lot of people that are on steroids, but you don't have to be to win. You don't have to be on it to do it. And if it's legal for that event, if someone wants to do it, like, I can't really say anything because you're not technically doing anything wrong. It's not for me. It's not something I would encourage. In fact, like, if my little brother wanted to get on it, I would take it from him and tell him he's not allowed to. But I also can't control what other people want to do. If they're adults, then that's their thing. But especially if it's illegal for the event, it's cheating. That's how I look at it.
In IBJJF, they just test the champion. For you, they need to change this format. Like, we need to test all guys on the podium, all women on the podium. For you, is the right way to do?
Definitely. But they can test the whole podium. They don't only test the champions. There were a couple people in Nogi World that didn't win, that were just on the podium, and they got tested too. But they need to test more. The thing is, if you know every single time when they're going to test, I think it's easier for people to just kind of cycle off, and then you don't necessarily get caught. I think so. The reason why so many people got caught at Nogi Worlds is because nobody was expecting them to be there. They literally waited in the car until finals started before they even came in the building, because they didn't want people to leave. And we still had some people that left, but they were there basically trying to catch people that weren't expecting it. But I also think they need to do, like, not just the majors. They need to throw in some, like, random events that nobody's expecting, because otherwise people, I think they just cycle off for the majors and then go back on during the rest of the season. And when you build muscle, it doesn't just go away just because you get off of something.
Yes.
It's the same thing you hear, like, child athletes. Child athletes are always going to build muscle faster than somebody that didn't do it, purely because they've already built all that muscle. And so it just comes back faster. Now, whether that's because you were a child athlete, because you're doing steroids, something like that, like, the muscle doesn't just go away. I think they need to do more with the testing and not just do the major events, and also not just, they can test the whole podium, but they basically only test the champion.
Yes. And Elizabeth, thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming here to talk about your career, your victors. I'm really happy too much to have you. Thank you all for your time.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on.
You can send a message for Brazilian fans too.
My Portuguese is so bad.
Not Portuguese, in English. In English.
This is in English? Oh,
yes.
Just for everybody, thank you so much for supporting me. And, being a gringa, it's nice to have the extra support from my Brazilian fans.
See you next time. Thank you so much again.
Of course.
Let's go. Fala galera, Felipe Machado aqui falando. Eu sou um dos melhores leg lockers que tem aqui no Brasil. Eu tenho nas minhas lutas uma taxa de 90% de finalização. E a maioria dessas finalizações são por heel hook. Provavelmente você já me viu em algum campeonato finalizando o heel hook. E eu montei um curso meu sobre todo esse sistema de leg locks, que ficou praticamente como um manual, com sistemas, subsistemas, detalhes, toda a mecânica ali que eu uso de finalização, que é diferente da maioria das pessoas que vocês já viram fazendo. Passei aqui um dia inteiro gravando com a BJJ Pro Tech. E se você quiser se tornar um especialista também, clica aqui em Saiba Mais, para você pegar algumas informações e poder adquirir o curso.